spelt it with a K because we love corn and the Kardashians.
Stop. Maybe half of that is true, or maybe all of it is true. Who knows? Hey, they're good enough for Travis Barker. They're good enough for Hollywood Undead. All right, I like that. Now that you mentioned that, I watched this series on YouTube. It's called Soft White Underbelly. I don't know if you're familiar, but he's literally has a studio on Skid Row, and he just pulls in person after person after person, and he like never runs out of people. And he's like, I will never run out of homeless people, drug addicts, or prostitutes in these streets ever. It's like every day there's a new batch.
Wait, he interviews them?
Yeah, he interviews them, and they give them like their life story, but like they're real, like the details you actually want to know. Our guest this evening on Loudwire Nights is Charlie Scene of Hollywood Undead, who have a new album arriving tomorrow called Hotel California. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, Hollywood Undead is super unique in that they all members, all five, contribute vocally. Does everybody like write their own section? How does that work?
I wouldn't say that everyone writes their own sections. They're, for the most part, they do, but some people need a little bit of help. And less so now. Like everyone in the band has grown as writers. So I'd say for the most part, people write their own stuff. Let's just say I don't want to point anyone out.
Okay, with some need a little more assistance than others, which is fine. And everybody's not going to be the strongest writer, but I know that you are among the strongest writers. Johnny Three Tears said that you're a completely different songwriter than you were 15 years ago. He said, "I'm so impressed by everyone in the band." What are you most proud of in terms of your growth as a musician and maybe even as a human being in this band all these years?
Well, before, when you're young, you're kind of an idiot, which is good, too, for songwriting, you know? I couldn't have written Everywhere I Go unless I was a moron. Like, you know what I mean? I can't write that now with a wife and kids. So that was great. I still love that song, and obviously fans love that song, and I'm so glad I wrote that song. But these days now, in this new chapter of life of kind of becoming older and maybe 5% wiser, I have a different perspective, you know? After having kids and just all the experiences we've gone through. So every time we go in the studio, we kind of write like wherever we're at in our lives, just whatever comes out naturally. So there is a lot of stuff about California in there and just the state of the world, you know, and then there's stuff of our new life experience of what we're going through either personally or with our family or as a band. So yeah, I think now there's songs on the record that I definitely couldn't have written 10 or 15 years ago, like a song called Lion Eyes I'm very proud of.
Oh, and my God. That's one of my favorite songs on the record. I was going to ask you if it's autobiographical because that one stood out so much.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely from a real life thing. But yeah, that one, I'm glad that you like that one. That one I think is probably my favorite on the record.
Yes, it's one of mine too. So it's track 9 for those of you who are unfamiliar. It's about a not healthy relationship. And I didn't know because I know that you're obviously now happily married. You have 2 kids. So I was like, I mean, I guess you tap back to like those days.
Yeah. No, it's about my side piece. It's an old past thing.
Hilarious. All right, we're going to take a pause, come back with more Charlie Scene of Hollywood Undead. We're also going to hear their song City of the Dead before the hour's over, celebrating the release of their album Hotel California, which happens tomorrow. We're getting a jump on it here on Loudwire Nights. All the rock that matters. All the rock that matters. Right here, right now. Loudwire Nights.
Now that that's done, let's get on with the show. Loudwire Nights.
It's all about Charlie Scene of Hollywood Undead this evening on Loudwire Nights. The band currently on the Rockzilla tour, along with Papa Roach, Falling in Reverse, and Bad Wolves. Charlie, what are you most looking forward to in terms of this tour? I know Jacoby Shaddix loves touring with you guys. He told me as much.
Yeah, well, yeah, first of all, like, there's nothing better than touring with other cool bands. And Papa Roach, those guys are like our brothers now. Like, those guys are so cool, and they make tours so fun. So that's always nice. It's cool, too, to be with, you know, Falling in Reverse, Papa Roach, Bad Wolves, like 4 bands that are relatively or very successful. So it's cool now we get to play in front of other audiences and in front of big crowds, and we have just this big stage, and it just feels big. So that's nice to do. Like we also love playing like House of Blues by ourselves, but we've done that for years. So it's nice to go and do something else for a little while and change it up.
Just curious, since we're getting to know you, what else are you into outside of music?
I like to cook a lot. That's like my other thing I like to do. It's kind of like a meditation, cooking for me. I cook dinner every night for the family. I barbecue. So that's one thing I enjoy doing and getting better at.
There must be some link between musicians and cooking, because I get that answer a lot. Hollywood Undead's Charlie Scene, our guest this evening on Loudwire Nights, talking about their new album, Hotel California, which arrives tomorrow. But I already had the opportunity of hearing it. So let's talk about a few of the songs. Is that someone's kid? I mean, obviously it's someone's kid, but is that someone's kid in the band at the beginning of Dangerous?
Yeah, that's my son. Yeah.
So cute. Yeah. How did that come together? Was he like nervous? How was it?
Well, we recorded in Nashville, so I would leave my house every day, and he wanted to come with me. So I was like, you know what, just come with me. And he rolled with me to the studio. The producer was kind of annoyed the whole time. He's like, can you get him to quiet down? It was pissing me off. Almost socked him. But I was like, hey, let's get him to record the first part of this song. He was like kind of annoyed. And then we did it. And then it almost didn't make the song too. And I was like, you better put that in there. I'm going to go to LA and beat your ass. So it's in there and it's awesome. And he's stoked as hell on it too.
Oh, so darn cute. You have a beautiful family. You have 2 sons. I'm curious if they know what dad does for a living and like how hard it is to pull away and, go on the road.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. And like before I had kids, I've always heard band guys say, man, my kids think I'm a dork. Like they don't care about my music at all. So I never tried to say, hey, you want to listen to Dad's music at all? It would just come on, or I'd be working on something, and they're literally my biggest fans. If I hadn't heard Everywhere I Go already 30 zillion times, now that's doubled because they played the hell out of that one. They like Chaos. Yeah,
that's an aggressive one.
Yeah, Mama doesn't approve, but when we're there with Dad, we listen to Chaos and Everywhere I Go. But then, leaving on tour is hard as hell after you have kids. It used to be hard when I just had a wife and 2 dogs, but now I got 2 kids, so it's very hard, and I just have to bribe them and say, I have to go to buy you guys some Spider-Man toys because they love Spider-Man. That's why I'm going on tour. And then they're cool with it. Okay, cool. Just bring me back some toys, and then we're good.
That's awesome. And yes, you are the exception. I've never, and I don't know how many hundreds of musicians I've interviewed, never had one say, my kid especially young ones, my kids love my music. Never.
It's so crazy. I think
awesome.
It's maybe because I never pushed it on them, I've never pushed playing guitar on them yet, and they haven't asked yet, so I'm just going to chill. When they ask, then I'll teach them.
I'm sure you'll be ready to go. All right. We're talking about Hotel California, Hollywood Undead's new album, which arrives tomorrow, with Charlie Scene, who's going to be joining us for a couple more questions here on Loudwire Nights. Charlie Scene of Hollywood Undead is our guest this evening on Loudwire Nights, and I already had the pleasure of listening to their new album, Hotel California, which arrives tomorrow. And when I was listening to track 2, World War Me, all I can think is he must get nonstop Eminem comparisons, and I hope that's a compliment and not an insult. Is that an influence for you?
For sure. Well, when we first started, I used to get that all the time, so I purposely didn't listen to any Eminem because I was I don't want to somehow subconsciously jock his style. So I'd listen to a lot of Ludacris and stuff. I always liked Ludacris's punchlines. Everything had a joke at the end of it, and he was a very smart writer. So I didn't listen to Eminem forever. Just whatever was on the radio. But then I was like, you know what, freak it. So I started listening to Eminem. So now I'm sure it's impossible. He's the greatest of all time, and he's so good. It's insane and mind-blowing. So I'm sure there is some influence there, but I definitely don't go in and try to. I just try to sound impressive as a white rapper.
Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. I do hear it, though. No, you don't. Not always.
Yeah, that's by far my most Eminem verse I think I ever recorded. But I think I liked it a lot. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, it's really good. All right, we are going to finally hear City of the Dead by Hollywood Undead right after this. We also have one last question for Charlie Scene. Charlie Scene of Hollywood Undead has been our guest this evening on Loudwire Nights, talking about their new album, Hotel California, which arrives tomorrow. And we're about to hear the current single, City of the Dead. So talk to us a bit about what inspired the song, the message behind it,
Yeah, so City of the Dead is kind of like what the album is about. You know, it's just like the state, or our state of California we grew up in, and going back there now, and it's kind of, it feels like you're in a damn zombie apocalypse when you're there sometimes. You know, like you could be in Beverly Hills, and then there's just Tent City and all these cars parked, and you'll see people smoking crack, and you'll find heroin needles on the ground, and people just roaming around, feeling like, it just feels like you're in a post-apocalyptic town. So that's kind of what the song is about.
How many times have you had your car broken into?
Let's see. I had my car broken into 3 times, and I had my house broken into, and the guy left a broken mess pipe in there. So that was when I was like, okay. And the room he broke into was going to be my firstborn's room, too. So I was like, okay, we're definitely getting out of here. It's time.
So you moved? We
moved. Yeah. I've lived in Nashville now for almost 4 years.
Oh, that was my next question. Like, how and why are you still there? I would be so out. Okay, you are out. All right, there goes that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear the song. It is City of the Dead by Hollywood Undead off their upcoming album, Hotel California with a K, which arrives tomorrow everywhere for your listening pleasure. You're hearing it on Loudwire Nights, all the rock that matters.